Hi friends, welcome to my channel Mitusar Classes. Now I am going to discuss about the Indian Polity Article of the Constitution. Indian Polity Article of the Constitution. Article 28. Article 28, freedom as to attendance. Freedom as to attendance are religious instructions. Freedom as to attendance of a religious instructions or religious worship in certain educational institutions and in certain educational institutions. Freedom as to attendance, freedom as to attendance at religious, freedom as to attendance at religious institutions or religious worship, religious institutions or religious worship in certain educational institutions, in certain educational institutions. Next, no religious institution shall be provided. No religious institution shall be provided in any educational institution. In any educational institutions, wholly maintained out of the state funds. Wholly maintained out of the state fund. No religious institutions shall be provided in any. No religious institution shall be provided in any educational institution shall be provided any educational institutions wholly maintained out of the state funds, wholly maintained out of the state funds. Educational institutions under Article 28. Educational institutions under Article 28 are divided into four parts. Educational institutions under Article 28 are divided into four parts. First one is institutions wholly maintained by the state. Institutions wholly maintained by the state governments. Institutions wholly maintained by the states. Next one, institution recognized by the state. The institution is recognized by the state governments. Third one is the institution receiving aids and grants from states. Institutions recognized by the aids or grants by the state governments. Institutions receiving aids or grants of the state governments. Next, institution administrator. Institution administered by the state governments but established under any religious trust. But established under any religious trust. Institutions administered by the state government under any religious trust. Established by the under any religious trust. Institutions administered by the state governments but established under any religious trust. Next, in school which are maintained by the state. In a school which is maintained by the state, religious instruction cannot be imparted. In a school which is maintained by the state, of religious instructions cannot be imparted to the school. Next, the educational institution. The educational institutions which receive aid from the educational institutions which receives aid from the state or recognized by the state. The educational institution which receive the educational institutions which receives aid from the state government state government or recognized by the state governments. The educational institutions which receive aid from the state or recognized by the state. Next, religious instructions can be provided. Religious instructions can be provided, but nobody will be forced to. Religious instructions can be provided, but nobody to be provided, but nobody will be forced to attend. but nobody will to force to attend such instructions. Religious instructions can be provided. Religious instructions can be provided, but nobody will be forced to attend the instructions or institutions. Next, the persons not attending the such an institution, the persons not attending the such an institutions shall be compelled to take part in any religious instruction. Shall be take part in the any religious instructions. Religious instructions that may be imparted there, that may these institutions are imparted there or attend any religious worships or attend any religious worships that is conducted there, that is conducted the institutions. The person not attending such an institution, the person not attending the such an institutions shall be compelled to take part in, shall be compelled take part in any religious shall be take part in the any religious instructions that may be imparted there, attend the institutions or worship that is conducted this there, that is conducted the institutes of a religion. Next, Article 29. Article 29, protections of interest. Protections of interest of minorities. Protections of interest of minorities. This article prohibits that. This article prohibits that the state to impose any culture. This article prohibits that the state to impose to any culture or on a community. Impose to any culture on a community. This implies that any community or section. This implies that any community or sections. This implies that any community or sections of a citizens have full right to preserve. Have full right to preserve their culture. To full right to preserve their cultures, script or language, culture, script or language, and shall have to conserve the same articles, This article prohibits that the state to impose. This article prohibits that the state to impose any culture on a community, This implies that any community or section. This implies that any community or sections of a citizens have full right to preserve. Their culture, script or languages, and shall have to conserve the same articles. Next, minorities are divided into two parts. First one is religious minorities, second one is linguistic minorities. One is religious minorities, other language linguistic minorities. Religious minorities are Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Jains, Parsis. Religious minorities are Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Jain and Parsis. Then linguistic minorities are language based. Lingayat Karnataka, Marathi, Nepali, Sindh. Lingayat Karnataka, Nepali, Marathi, Sindh are the linguistic minorities. Next, this article provides that no citizen shall be denied. This article provides that no citizen shall be denied or admissions into any educational institution. Institutions maintained by the state, maintained by the state, or receiving aid from the state, maintained by the state or receiving aid from the state. Only on the ground of religion, only on the ground of religions, race, caste, only on the ground of religion, only on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, language, any of them, language, any of them. This article provides that no citizen shall be denied admissions into any educational institutions maintained by the state or aided by from the state government, receiving aid from the state government on the ground of religions, race, caste, sex, of the languages, any of them. Next, this article is applicable to this article 29. This article 29 protections of interest of minorities. This article 29 protections of interest of minorities is applicable to religious and linguistic minorities. Is applicable to the religious and linguistic minorities. Next, in this article, Supreme Court in one of the verdict says. In this article, Supreme Court of the one of the verdict said that scope of the article because these sections of citizens, scope of the article because these sections of the citizens include minority as well as majority, minority as well as the majority. In this articles 29, protections of interest of minorities. Supreme Court is one of the verdict said that the scope of the article because these sections of the citizens include minority as well as the majority. Thanks. Please share, subscribe, click the bell icon. Thank you.